danza.
Dos, uno. Yes, people, welcome to the LIS podcast. It's me, T, and here we are speaking in front of the camera, on the mic, into the microphone. Whether you can see me, whether you can hear me, we're all happy for it. So, again, last time I recorded a episode by myself, it was a bit like I had fun. Like it was enjoyable. Um, I think I managed to say some things, and it wasn't rushed, but it wasn't dragged, I guess. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of feedback I can get, and I'm sure there's a lot of things I can do better. But in general, I did enjoy the speaking by myself. So like a little bit of self-reflection, I guess. Initially, like this was meant to be a podcast about sport, not about sport. Like we're not here talking about Arsenal and the football and arguing about different things, but it was about the psychological side, the different stories, the different things that come up, the different responsibilities you face, whether it's as an athlete, the responsibilities you have to your training and stuff like that, or whether it's you're a secretary or anything like that. Um, an analyst, a nutritionist. There's loads of things in sport and loads of ways to go. But yeah, now it's like I still feel like that. Um, I would love to meet different people and continue to meet different people. I feel like I've repeated a few of the things I said on a previous episode, but not too tough. But just yeah, on discussion wise, I thought it'd be a good idea for the listeners, for the viewers, for whoever clicks on this and decides to see me speaking to learn about me. I mean, I'm doing a podcast where I'm speaking. I mean, and I feel like the viewers and the people that follow me, the few followers I do have on social medias and things like that, know nothing about me unless you know me personally, which, yeah. So we've done 7 episodes so far. I'll be honest, I would have liked the podcast to have been a lot more consistent and a lot more structured, I guess. But, you know, it's, this is like right now I'm fiddling like crazy. I'm fiddling with two nails, and then like when I look back at the camera and I see myself like talking, and then it's like I'm completely not focused and I'm disinterested, and uh, it's so cringy watching yourself back, isn't it? Like listening on, like if I heard my voice back, it's that's one thing. It's a bit cringy, but watching a video of myself back, that makes my skin crawl. Wonder how many people relate to that. But yeah, I thought it'd be a good idea to record a little ramblings episode where you can learn a bit about me, and I can just talk about myself, who I am, what I do, and where I want to be. But yeah, a lot of buts, a lot of ums. Deary me, silly me. I feel like I'm getting nervous on camera, and then I'm just talking and spouting stuff. But I'm not. I'm quite whatever. So yeah, well, I need to stop. I need to be locked in, but I can't stay still. Okay. So yeah, I don't know how this looks. Am I being genuine, or do I just look like very unprofessional? Or not? Not that there's anything professional about this, but I would like to be taken seriously if in somewhat aspect. But yeah, let's start from the top, I guess. Well, not the top, but yeah. So my name's Tariq. I've had my name pronounced a few different ways, and yeah, I am from London. I am I'm from London, born and raised. Background wise, I am half Spanish, half Egyptian. So yeah, some people say interesting mix. I try to act like I'm not gassing someone says, "Oh, nice mix," and keep it humble. But yeah, um, half Spanish, half Egyptian. I look very Arab though. I feel like there's nothing about me that looks Spanish. Like personally, if I go to Egypt, I do not stick out. I look like a local. I've got a Moroccan a lot. Turkish a couple times, but mainly Moroccan. But yeah, so yeah, why I started the podcast. Well, it's an idea I had for years. I think spoke about this before in the other ramblings episode. Uh, I think that is episode five, episode five or episode six. Oh, it looks poor that I can't name my episodes off by heart. But yeah, uh, started it, dissertation, really interesting chats. Dissertation on anxiety, on the perception of anxiety in combat sport. Really interesting chats with some really good people that I will always be grateful for the experience and the time that they gave me. Um, the time, as in the experience of interviewing them, and the time like taking out time of their busy schedules to. I just thought it was fascinating, and that's what I went with. Uh, so yeah, and I thought let's keep doing that. And then when you just hold off an idea, you say you're gonna do something and you don't do it. And yeah, that was kind of me. And then yeah, well I went to start the eventually I spoke with my good friend Boyan, and Boyan helped me bring this to life, and really grateful to him for that. And I miss having him around, but you know, who knows what will happen. Of course Boyan is very busy, so I don't want to throw too much extra commitment on him. So yeah, a bit of that's why like it started with me being with someone to me being by myself. But always big up Boyan, a lot of love for Boyan. And yeah, I I love sport. Primarily it's football. It's pretty basic guy, pretty basic stuff. So yeah, I like football. I like going to the football, like watching the footy, whatever. But when I was a kid, I lived in Spain. Funnily enough, like a lot of people get their football interest from their parents, or like assumedly from their dads. It can be anyone though. It could be your mom, whatever. But yeah, none of my parents like football. Neither of them. And when I used to go to Spain in the summer, I had like my aunties and uncles and a lot of family around. And well, we're from my mom's family. My family, our family is from Sevilla, so the south of Spain, like capital of Andalusia, if you want to add to that. And yeah, um, in that city in particular, you have two teams, Sevilla and Betis, and it's a very passionate rivalry. I think it's a passionate city, and yeah, football is a big deal there, and the people follow their clubs passionately. And I mean, I was always around that, and then so I always had an interest in football in terms of watching and stuff. When I was 10, my auntie, maybe, may she rest in peace, um, she like one day I was chilling in her room and she started showing me a bunch of Sevilla videos, DVDs, started showing me El Himno del Centenario, like El Arrebato, and yeah, just the goals and stuff like that. And it gassed me, and I I really fell into it. I really got into it. I loved everything about it. She took me to the stadium. I watched my first game. I think I was like 10. It was Sevilla versus Deportivo La Coruña. We won 4-0. It was at a December game before the Christmas break. Freddie Canute, Dani Alves scored a free kick. Yeah, this and that. Um, and yeah, more or less, I've been following Sevilla game by game pretty much for since then. Like I think in the last 10, 11, in the last like 11, 12 years, I've been a lot more locked in. But yeah, it all started from that. I did try to fit in living in England. I supported Man United. Um, Yeah, I was like fake one of them like fake Man United supporters. Like, yeah, I supported United. I think I supported United because my friends started supporting Man United, and then one day I was like, oh, like I live kind of far from here. Like I don't really have uh, it don't really make sense. Maybe like I've been to QPR games. Like maybe I could support QPR as well, and then supported Q. I was what I went to QPR games. I followed their journey, and you know what put me off QPR was I think we went to the I went to the QPR game. It was against Stoke in the Premier League. This is like 2013, and I think I was about 17 then. And I thought the atmosphere was horrible. To be fair, QPR were woeful that season, and they'd been rubbish like the whole year, and they were like going down regardless. So that probably didn't help the atmosphere. But I don't know. I just thought I don't really feel this. I don't feel like. Do you know what I mean? And then so then I stopped caring about fitting in English football or socially anyway, and then just fully focused on watching and supporting Sevilla. And yeah, there's a bit of a like sport, like from a viewer's point of view, sport is weird because like you're watching and idolizing. Okay, let's use football for example. You're watching and idolizing guys that earn millions. They earn millions, and them winning. Like, how much does it benefit you? I mean, emotionally, like if you're into it, it does benefit you a lot. But really, like you're not gonna lose money. You're not gonna get anything. If anything, you spend money going to a game or paying for the TV package or going to a bar to watch it and buying stuff so you can justify sitting in that place. But yeah, I don't know. With me, football, I can't help it. I love it. I love it. I love watching football, even when it pisses me off. I can't even look at Sevilla right now. It's just awful. Like, it's like the whole infrastructure of the club is a mess, and it's just really sad to see like how we're declining and continue to decline. And like the point I'm saying, I could make a whole video about and rant about the problems at Sevilla and with the presidents and with like all sorts of things in the club, the results. But I think the interesting part about that is how that affects me. Like, why? Why does watching football like make me really happy? Like, if something goes well, like ecstatic. Like, I go to work with the biggest smile on my face if if it goes well. If we win a big game, I'm watching the highlights and stuff. If we lose, it hurt. I mean, I'm talking like when I was younger, I used to handle it a lot worse. But yeah, I mean, in terms of yeah, that's that. I mean, in sport, I think the beautiful thing about it is that there's loads of cultures in sport. Like loads of different sports have different cultures, but then at the same time, oh, someone's got home. Yeah, at the same time, there's cultures within cultures, and there's like the football sporting culture in England is different. Oh fuck it! I gotta edit that shit out. But as I was saying, the football sporting culture is literally okay. I'm rattled there. Uh, the football culture in Spain is a lot different to England. It's a lot different to Serbia. In Serbia, it's a lot different in Brazil, and that's what I find interesting. There's a separate football culture in each country, and then that's just talking about football. Like obviously you've got a rugby culture. You've got I don't know. there's loads of different cultures. Obviously, when I spoke with Morgan last time, there was a he talked about how I was talking we were talking about the NBA, and he was talking about how I hate when I freeze up. It's really annoying. Yeah, we are talking about the NBA, and yeah, we talked about the NBA, and I was saying how I like it, but I can't watch a whole NBA game because of the timeouts. It's just constant timeouts. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they should scrap the timeouts. I mean, those guys are sprinting for minutes at a time. It's a very like high energy sport. But he also like that's the logical thing of why I thought they do timeouts. But then he also said how it's catered to spectators that are at the game, and I thought that was really interesting because I never thought of it like that. Don't you love when you have a conversation with someone and they say something and you realize something that was never in your mind before? Like you realize, wow, I did not think of that. Like, and it's not even like some revolutionized way of thinking. It's just a new point. Something from a different point of view has taught you something else. And yeah, like I just never thought of it like that. And American sports in general are quite like that. I think in American football there's a lot of timeouts and things like that. And hockey, I don't know, I can't speak for everything, but I know in NBA and NFL there's a lot of timeout. Probably for to cater for the people at the ground, probably most importantly to cater for the players playing a high energy sport, and probably for I'm using the word probably a lot. Need to up the vocab. Yeah, for the TV commercials, TV adverts as well. So yeah, yeah, I just thought that was an interesting thing. I think the other thing about sport when it comes to watching is that escapism. Is that you forget about whatever it is whatever it is going on in your life for that 90 minutes or for that 48 minutes quarter or for that 5 sets of tennis or for them 12 rounds of boxing or for whatever it is, depending how into it you are. You're just fully immersed into that. And I think that's what's magical about it. People like sports for different reasons. For some people, it's like it's a patriotic thing. You're watching the national team of a certain sport play. You're watching an athlete from a certain country play. It's so different. Like, oh, there's a cat here, by the way, so you might get the odd meows and that if you didn't hear that. If you heard that, that's why I said that. If you didn't, then I just spent like 20 seconds talking about a cat that no one heard. But yeah, you got the patriotic side, and then there's the interesting thing of you know you got smaller countries, like countries with a much smaller population, or cities, or communities, or whatever, and then they have an athlete that makes it big in the sport that does really well, and then they feel so represented by that one athlete, by that one person, whether it's the whole country or whether it's the community. Like in terms of like someone like Mohammed Salah, like as like an Egyptian by ethnicity, like I've been to Egypt many times, not for a long time. Obviously, I couldn't call myself a proper Egyptian compared to someone born and raised there. I don't even speak Arabic, which we'll rubbish about a lot. But as a Egyptian, it's so like prideful seeing like a, an Egyptian man like be so good at football, be in that elite level of football and performing at high levels consistently. There's a sense of pride. I can imagine like the people from his village that or his city. I think he grew up in a little village. They probably feel even more prideful. You got I could go on and on and on about this, but yeah, there's so many different reasons that you watch a sport, and there's so many different reasons that you get engaged and into it, and I feel like it's probably a part of your identity in a way. Like someone who watches Arsenal. or I don't know why I keep saying Arsenal a lot. Now I would, you know what? My brother-in-law supports Arsenal, and he's recently launched a football talk show. It's called, I think, the Football Locker Room Banter. So big them up. I was catching a bit of their episodes today. Yeah, big them up. I hope they keep doing what they're doing and continue to grow. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's like a sense of identity, and I feel like I listened to, uh, I listened to, I read a paper, I heard in a podcast, I don't remember, about identity, and it was the more invested you are into something, the more that part of your identity is bigger, um, the more it affects you when things don't go right, sort of thing. I mean, I'm kind of, if you're like, yeah, if it doesn't go right when you're with me freezing up a lot again, but whatever. We keep going. Um, yeah, so it's like the more invested you are into something and like the more attached, the more it affects you when it goes wrong. And what I mean by that is like if you can separate the football fan or the connection and the person you are. Okay, no, I'm not explaining it. So when I heard someone say this and when I've looked at the papers about it, it was about athletes and like, you know, the quote, I'm trying my best to explain it in a way that makes sense where I don't sound like a complete idiot. Uh, yeah, uh, yeah. The more, if you can't separate yourself from what you do, which is like playing football and the high emotions, the more it's gonna affect you when it goes wrong. I want to say football sport, and I feel like there's a certain element of that in in watching sport. So yeah, it's fascinating. Let me talk a little bit about me. So that's just sort of my outlook in like sport and the watching it. I will definitely release another episode where I talk about sport and watching sport, i.e. football, because that's what I can mainly represent best from the fans' perspective. So stay tuned. So hopefully I can sort something out from there. So a little bit about me, a bit more about me. So what have I said? I said that my name's Tariq, whatever people prefer, whatever. And yeah, started this podcast for the reasons I stated earlier in the video. And ah, yeah, so probably gonna talk about something slightly personal now. So I have autism. I don't know if it's obvious or not. I like to think it's not, but I feel like I don't. I feel like the more you know about it, the more you might be able to pick up. The more, or maybe I don't know. I'm 28 now, so I got diagnosed when I was 10. Thought it was important to. I thought it'd be important to talk about because it's a part of me. It's a part of who I am, and I've come a long way in terms of my development socially. So I thought it'd be an interesting thing to touch on. In terms of growing up, I feel like I've always been around friends. I've always sort of had somewhat of a friendship group. Um, so socially, I wouldn't say it was a not an issue because I had friends, but I don't know. I feel like I was so conscious of being different. Also, I think whenever you're little, whenever you're growing up in school, the last thing you want to be is different. You want to be like the rest of your peers, wouldn't you? That's what. When you're an adult, speaking for myself, anyway, I don't care anymore. But yeah, I just used to. The main thing, autism is so vast. They don't even call it a spectrum anymore. This is constantly evolving. What we know about it and the different things, but it's I don't know. Like some say high function. I used to be called high functioning. To be honest, I'm not really a fan of that saying. There's Asperger's as well. I don't even know what that is. I think I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Don't like when people call it ASD because spectrum disorder. It's not a disorder, but I just like to think of it as more of a something we have than a hindrance. Don't get me wrong though, I'm not like trying to say it makes my life easier because it hasn't, but it's also like a part of why I have the drive I have, I guess, uh to do things. I don't know, like I don't know where I'm going with this because I want to say what I'm feeling and how it's going and what I feel about it, but at the same time, I feel like I'm just rambling. Hence the little mini series that I kind of established. But yeah, autism, diagnosed at 10. I mainly used to struggle with change. Change used to fuck me up. I used to hate change. What my mum would change the living room around, best believe I was having a tantrum. What my something gets cancelled, I am not happy. What my mum buys me new shoes, how dare she? How dare she get me new shoes? The shoes I had were fine. What, you asked me to do something that I've never been asked to do before? How can you have the audacity to ask me to do something? If you didn't ask me before, why would you ask me now? That's kind of the mindset I had. And sometimes I do have it. Um, Obviously I had a lot of therapy. I had a lot of so like I'm not saying all therapy cured me. Now I'm fantastic. Look at me, specimen. But yeah, I just thought I had support. I used to worry a lot. I was a big worrier. I used to get so anxious before went to school in the morning. Primary, secondary. I really hope the audio is good because I'm talking and I feel like it's going somewhere. But yeah, I've done a lot of work on myself. I've learned a lot around my family. Yeah, speaking of my family, actually, so I've two, I have two parents. Yeah. Um, Ideally, you have two parents. Some people, okay, brr, waffling. Yeah, so I'm quite fiddly. I think what I've noticed about myself, recently, particularly, is that stim a lot. I guess I'm always rocking side to side. My legs always shaking. I'm always fiddling with something, and I never thought of it as stimming. I never knew what it was. But yeah, people with autism stim, they do a movement that they repeat as a repeated behavior. It makes them feel comfortable. I don't know, but I stim. It could be I could look really anxious, but yeah, it's so like when I watch these videos back, I just see myself like stimming, like just rocking side to side or moving or whatever. But yeah. So speaking of my family, my parents. So my dad's Egyptian. He's like typical like Arab man. Like if you're Arab, you know what I'm saying. My mum is a Spanish woman. My mum is very motherly, best way I could put it. And yeah, she was obviously she was very like protective of me. She knew something was up from when I was little, but she fought tooth and nail to get my diagnosis, to get me into school, whatever. My dad, on the other hand, was a bit more old-fashioned. He's fine. Um, but that balance that balance between the two of them is probably the reason why I was able to develop as much in terms of socially and being able to be independent and do things. Um, so my like when I was in secondary school, I'd always get dropped to school. I wanted to be independent, but at the same time on my own terms. When I was in secondary school, my mum would drop me to school. She'd pick me up. I think in like the start in year 7, and then she dropped me in the morning, and my old school friend's mum would pick us up. And then eventually I started getting dropped in the morning, then getting the bus. And then it progressed to getting the bus there and back. Um, and then I completely regressed at one point. I just completely regressed and couldn't do it. Um, I was scared, hated it, hated the idea of it, hated the idea of I don't know whether it was too loud on the bus or whether it was just too. For me, like a lot of people associate sensory things with autism, and they're not wrong. But I'm personally not someone that really suffers and struggles with like loud noises. I do hate a crowd though. I can't stand, well, not any crowd. Like I don't like being in a crowd where I feel like I can't get out, where I feel trapped in. That's where I start to panic. But yeah, back to what I'm trying to say. I regressed and like I would eventually though my dad hated the idea that I wasn't doing it. I was just letting my mum just drop me off and stuff like that. And my dad is a tough guy. He's one of them guys grew up in the poor background, and then parents died, had to fend for himself, him and his siblings. He made his rise, got to London. He's done well. So he's got that kind of dog mentality where like you fight, and yeah, although stressful at the time, it's probably the best. It's probably the most important contribution anyone's ever made to my life in terms of because he pushed me. He pushed me out of my comfort zone, and it was difficult. But I think the thing with autism, I don't want to speak for autism for everyone because it's so different for each person. Like everyone has autism. Not everyone has autism. Everyone that has autism, they might struggle with different things. They might have different. I don't know. Um, I've never claimed to be an expert in autism. By the way, I'm an expert on myself. I just happen to have autism. Um, yeah, mm, yeah. My dad sort of pushed me, and my mum. It's not. Oh, my mum was soft and she said no, but and I'm sure but my dad sort of put more of that pressure on me to do things. My sister helped me out a lot. My older sister, she would come with me to school. They transitioned it smoothly. But I think a part of autism with progression, there's always regression. Or with me anyway. I feel like with kids in general, there's always like they progress. See, I'm playing with the tablecloth now. But yeah, they progress only to just regress a little bit, and then you have to build yourself back up. A lot of routines. I don't know. It's there's a lot to it. In terms of now, I think socially, I'm okay. I've made some really good friends. Over the years, I've had friends. I've fallen out with friends. It's a cycle of life. But in general, socially, I think I am pretty good in terms of like speaking to people. I think I can make people laugh every now and then. Sometimes I make myself look like a dickhead trying to be funny, but you don't shoot, you don't score. Uh, but yeah, I mean, socially, I think I struggle with certain aspects of social stuff though. Um, in terms of like, and it's taken a lot of building over time. It's taken a lot of practice. But in terms of like work, I think where I work now, I work with young people with autism. Um, is it ironic? But no. But yeah, ironically, I work with young people with autism. I try to be a good role model to them in terms of I try to show that I understand. I try to be understanding, and I think that's important anyway. But I feel like in terms of like, I understand why you're feeling like that. It's not I understand why you're feeling like that because people with autism would find something like that difficult. So I understand why you're feeling like that because firsthand, there we go, the me again. Firsthand, I struggle with a similar issue, or I have struggled with a similar issue in the past. But yeah, it's I think it's maybe I don't give myself enough credit, or maybe I don't give the people around me enough credit. But I'm really grateful for where I've come from to where I am now, and I don't know how well I've explained it. I've been fortunate enough to do some talks in like schools and shut up, man. Yeah, I don't know even why I said it like that. I've been fortunate enough to do some talks in schools and think further. I think it was called as like an event for people with different I'm gonna say SENs that were considering going to university and stuff like that. Gone through a lot in my life anyway without like without having autism. Like I'm still stupid, like where I'll make a dumb mistake or go through different things. Um, but yeah, I don't know. My outlook in life constantly changes. The way I see, the way I approach, the way I do. But this is what I do. I speak and I'll say something and then I'll start talking and I'll distract myself slightly and then I won't even talk about the first point that I originally made socially. So at work, yeah, I got into what I do for work. I don't know. I find the I find the colleague interaction quite challenging. I find it challenging. I'm quite lucky at where I'm at now because we're a small team, so it's a lot closer. It suits me a lot more. There's like four of us, so four or five of us staff wise. So it's a lot easier to get to know each other in our little depart. I call it my safe little bubble. And yeah, um, but for example, it was sports day last summer, and I was trying my best to socialize with the other staff members outside of my out of my department, and I was okay. But there were just moments. There's just so many moments where I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know where to be, and I just felt this insecurity of myself of not knowing where or what or how or if I'm coming across. And then I develop this social anxiety. This is like when it's in bigger groups. I'll develop this social anxiety of did I come across did I come across like silly? Did I make myself look uneducated? Did I make myself look like a dickhead? Did I make myself look ignorant? Did I talk too much about myself? That's the one that I always worry about myself. Am I talking too much about myself? Am I having a conversation with someone and it's just one sided because I'm just telling them about myself? Am I, or what I think or what I believe? Like I can't like the talking about yourself stuff. Like yeah, I don't like if other people are very self centered in terms of everything is about them. But in terms of like I love to hear about you, but in terms of if everything's about you, I don't. For me personally, that's not you know what I like when I'm interacting with someone. But yeah, so I get worried about how I come across. But then at the same time, I'm not self-conscious. It's like I'm self-conscious about what others think of me. But at the same time, I don't. But it's like a big. I don't know. I'd say that's what I struggle with now. Like it's not like you're cured of autism when it's not like you're cured of autism after like so much therapy, medication, or whatever you do. Um, I take medication, but the medication is not for autism. So, and autism is not an illness where you need to take medication. So let me clarify that. It's everyone that has autism, if they're if they're supported the right way, and even if they're not, are wonderful people in their own means and have their own many talents and things that they're good at. Um, but yeah, the things I struggle with, small talk. I was never good at small talk. Be quiet, cat, and you know, it depends like on my environment. I have a friend that I think I got confident and more confident as I got older, but I was still a little bit shy. And then I made friends with someone at uni, and they were completely confident and completely outgoing and outspoken, and that rubbed off on me. And that was a really good influence to have in my early adulthood because like it made me obviously it got me out my comfort zone a little bit, and it just made me more confident. So then I became more so like I wouldn't be able to do something like this where I'm talking about myself. But yeah, those are things I struggle with in terms of I still struggle with change to a certain extent, but it depends how it happens. It depends the context. But then like I had like a bit of an identity. I wouldn't say identity crisis, but it was like with the kids I work at in school, it's like they don't like change, and that's like completely understandable. Um, However, it's like it got me thinking. I was like, when it's a change and it's something they like, and like, I'm talking about myself, but I'm just using them as an example, and then it's something positive that you like, then now you like change. So then it gets me thinking about this whole change thing. It's like if I was meant to do something if I was meant to go somewhere and then we end up going somewhere else, that's a change. Like it wouldn't unsettle me. Like, when I was a kid, it would, but it wouldn't unsettle me. It wouldn't anything like this. But it, it's whatever. But then if it's like a change and suddenly like instead of going shopping, where we're going to I don't know Fort Park or whatever, like that's a big change. But it's like I'm going from my subjective like bias of like going to a theme park is cool, but for someone else like then it's like I'm not saying like the change stuff with people with autism is rubbish because firsthand I've experienced it and I've seen for like myself and I've seen it. It can be difficult, but then it's like when something changes, but it's to your benefit, it just makes me ask. It just makes me just think about it deeper. I guess I don't know. I'm probably over deep in it. I hope whoever's watching, listening, can see my understand the point I'm trying to make. But yeah, change structure is such a big part of my life. I need to know. I need to have an idea of what's going on. In terms of like, I need to be going to work. I need to be like having somewhere to be every day. Even like I work in a school in the summer holiday. It's nice. It's nice to get a rest. It's nice to be able to sleep in. Don't get me wrong, but I started to towards the end of the summer. I started getting a bit like edgy. Like, oh, um, I want that routine back, but at the same time, I didn't want to go back to work. No one wants to go back to work when they're on holiday. But no, I do like my job. I do have aspirations and further things that I do want to get into. But where I'm at now, I'm happy. But I will continue to chase my goals. I've talked about what I thought of sport. I've talked about my autism a bit. I probably could have explained things better. I probably could have explained things more. Um, I guess before I wrap this up, I don't even know how long I've been speaking for, but hopefully it's not dragged on and hopefully it sounds nice, like as in audibly, if that's a word, when you're listening and then what I'm speaking is flowing nice. But yeah, in terms of my goals and things that I want to do and my goals for everything is like I'm a obviously I love sport as I said. I study sports science at uni. I love football. I love sport. I want to get into, but then I also love helping people. I also love supporting people. I like getting the best out of someone. I like helping someone find the right path. I like some helping someone develop in different ways if I can. Or when I say helping them develop, I don't mean I magically talk to them and now they're better at something. It's more like we work together and we start seeing things differently. I don't know. I think I kind of butchered that, but I like to support people and yeah. So the kind of my dream sort of career to get into is player care. So yeah, player care is working with the player care as in football, um, but also athlete lifestyle advisor, athlete well-being. It's like working with the athlete holistically, working with them outside of their sport in terms of like being able to support them with organizational skills, well-being, goal setting, maybe supporting them through injury, supporting them with transitions, the different type of transitions they go through as a athlete, or the different kind of transitions they go through personally. And yeah, I want to help athletes and work with athletes because that's what I'm passionate about. And I feel like in terms of like, I could probably explain what it is better. But yeah, that's what I want to get into, and I will continue doing what I'm doing. I'm trying to network with lots of people in the profession. I'm trying to learn. Trying to learn more about the roles. I'm trying to work at my job and do a best job as possible, and take up any kind of experience and things that I can and skills that I can use that are transferable. There's a lot behind the scenes. I'm doing a lot. In terms of this podcast, I'd like to keep uploading. I'd like to build a community and meet lots of different people, go in front of the camera and just talk shit. It's like my friend says, we just sit down and talk shit. Like Um, maybe add some value. Um, but yeah, I'll probably that's my goals essentially, getting into that kind of stuff. But at the same time, being grounded and focusing on what I do already and trying my best at the present, which something I really struggled with at points. Something I really struggled with. Thinking of the there and now and being able to switch off when it's time to switch off. I think another thing linking it back to autism is that when we're into something, yeah, we get really into it. Like, and for me personally, I don't say I'm into one thing in particular. I'm into a lot of things. I like watching football. I've been watching football for a long time. I can name whatever. I- and I like anime. I like the discussions. I like the discussions you can have around One Piece or Naruto. I said like I've named like the two most bait animes out there, but my point is the discussion around it, the world. I like that. And I get really obsessed, and that obsession is like it's like a blessing. No, yeah, that obsession is like a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it gives me the drive to do something and to research it and to learn and really pursue or whatever. But then it's a curse because I'm constantly thinking about it non-stop. I'm constantly thinking non-stop about it, and then when the because of that I end up overthinking, and overthinking turns it into a negative experience. And that's with me though. So it's like a balance. But then at the same time, I'm talking if it's something that I'm trying to do in terms of like obsession of like if it's something I like to watch or something I like to I like researching history stuff. I watch lots of videos on history. I'll research stuff like that until I'm satisfied. But yeah, I just thought I'll talk about that. But I'll probably start closing it off, and I'm talking about the episode by the way, not what I do. But yeah, I continue to learn. I continue to develop. I'm not going to be the same. I'm not the same person as I was last year. I won't be the same person as I am in another few years because we're constantly, as long as you have the open mind, we're constantly learning and developing and moving forward. So yeah, let's see how things go. I'm looking forward to it. I'll try to document as much as I can and really enjoyed doing this little chat in front of the camera. I'm gonna hate watching it back and see myself stimming and looking all like uneasy, like. But yeah, I could be a bit more energetic. That's the feedback I've got before regarding this, but I'm trying my best. I'll take anything and I'll try implement it and learn. But yeah, so that's T. This is T. Tariq. It's me. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. If you got to this point, but yeah, like, subscribe, follow on the socials. Yeah, big love, people. See you soon.